All right, let's talk about something that could seriously change the way you think about money. Passive income. It's kind of seen as the holy grail of financial freedom, and what we're going to do right now is give you a clear map to actually start building it.
I mean, just pause and really think about that for a second. What if, instead of trading your time for a paycheck, day in and day out, you could build something that makes money for you automatically? That's the dream, right? And that's the powerful idea we're going to unpack.
Okay, so let's get down to it. What are we actually talking about? The definition is pretty simple, but it's so important. It's all about a big, upfront investment, and that can be your time or your money that then pays you back with way, way less effort down the road. Like an author who writes a book once and then collects royalties for years. The real goal is to break free from that hour for a dollar trap.
And that leads us to this massive question, a real fork in the road that you have to answer for yourself. What do you have more of right now, time or money? Because honestly, your answer is going to shape your entire strategy from here on out. Yeah, check this out. It really boils down to two main paths. On the one hand, you've got the hustle path, where you're putting in your time and your effort. And on the other, you've got the investor path, where your money is doing the heavy lifting. And let's be clear, it's not about which one's better. It's all about figuring out where you are starting from today.
So let's dive into that first option, the low capital path. This is for all the grinders out there, the folks who are ready to roll up their sleeves and build something from scratch, using their skills as the main investment.
But we've got to be real here. This is not a get-rich-quick thing. Not at all. You're literally creating an asset out of thin air. So you should expect to be working for a good 6, maybe even 12 months before you see any real money coming in. Patience is absolutely key here.
So what does this look like in practice? Well, these are some of the heavy hitters. You could create an online course. You could start a YouTube channel about something you love. Or you could start a blog and use what are called affiliate links. Basically, you recommend products you already use, and if someone buys through your link, you get a small commission. It's a great way to start. Okay, let's flip the script. Let's talk about the other side of the coin, using money to make more money. This is the classic way to build wealth, and it's all about putting your capital to work for you.
And just look at the difference here. This can be so much faster. See, your money doesn't need to build an audience or create a product from scratch. It can get to work earning more money from day one. We're talking about seeing returns in as little as a month, maybe up to 6.
The options here are probably familiar to you. You've got your stocks, your bonds, the bread and butter of investing. Now, you might be thinking, real estate, I can't afford that. But hold on. There are things called REITs, which are basically huge funds that own all sorts of properties, and you can buy a slice for as little as $500. All right, it's time for a crucial reality check. Because, let's be honest, there's no such thing as a completely risk-free, zero-effort income stream. That's a myth. Both of these paths have their own challenges, and you really need to go in with your eyes wide open. Think about it. If you invest, the market can crash. If you own a rental property, a pipe can burst at 3 in the morning. And if you're a YouTuber, a single algorithm change can wipe out your views overnight. Again, this isn't to scare you, it's to prepare you. So, how do you protect yourself from all that? Well, it comes down to one of the oldest, wisest rules in finance. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spreading out your bets, whether it's your time or your money, is the absolute key to survival.
And here is a perfect, time-tested example of what that looks like in action. It's the classic 60-40 portfolio. Super simple. 60% in stocks to grow your money and 40% in safe government bonds for stability. It's not flashy, but historically, a portfolio like this has returned about 9.1% a year. It's a brilliant example of balancing risk.
Okay, a 9% return sounds great, but what does that actually look like in your bank account? Let's talk real numbers. So, you want to make an extra £10,000 a year from your investments? Well, if you assume a pretty standard 4% withdrawal rate, you'd need a portfolio of £250,000. That number really puts into perspective the kind of scale you need to aim for to replace a salary.
And this slide, right here, shows where the real magic is. It's all about compounding. Just look at this. You start with the same £100,000, but getting a 7% return instead of a 3% return, that's a $14,000 difference over a decade. It shows that the rate of return and the time you stay invested are just as important as how much you start with.
Okay, enough talk. We've gone over the theory, the paths, the risks. So what can you do, like, right now to get this ball rolling? Let's make this super practical. So, if you're in that time-rich, cash-poor camp, here is your playbook. Step 1, pick something you love and start a blog. Step 2, write about 15, maybe 30 really good articles to prove you know your stuff. Once you have people reading and trusting you, you can start adding those affiliate links. It's a proven path to your first passive dollar. Now, if you do have some cash to invest, your first step is actually even simpler. Seriously, you open an investment account, maybe with a low-cost place like Vanguard, and you buy into a broad index fund. Just like that, you're diversified and you own a tiny piece of hundreds of the world's biggest companies. Then, as your pot grows, you can start looking at adding other things.
So there you have it. Look, building passive income is a marathon, not a sprint, no matter which path you take. But the power of starting, of letting your effort or your money compound over time, is just undeniable. So the only real question left is, what could you build over the next decade if you started today?